So you're living in Willow Creek now, but were born in Henford-on-Bagley, like me. Isn't it possible that we met at some point?
I don't think so. You see, I was very ill as a child and had to spend most of my time in bed. Sometimes I would fall asleep and not wake up for days. My parents didn't know what to do, but they certainly didn't allow me to go outside by myself even when I was awake. And before my 10th birthday, we moved to Willow Creek.
Audrey died only a few weeks before her 10th birthday.
I'm very sorry about that, Mr. Grande. I don't even want to imagine the pain of losing a sibling. But I've always been an only child. My name is Jane Stevenson, and before my wedding, I was Jane Scott. So you have to understand that, even though I may remind you of her, I am not your lost sister.
What do you make of Grande's story? If he knew Jane as a child, even though it was a long time ago, wouldn't she remember that?
Maybe, maybe not. He thinks the fairies might have captured her through their portal in the Bramblewood Lake and erased her memory, which is entirely possible, but they won't tell us. They no longer talk to us at all.
You provoked them quite a bit the last time you talked. No wonder they're offended.
Not our fault. They shouldn't have possessed Willie, or held Loki captive.
And I don't think they're really offended as much as simply afraid of Elise coming back. She could fuck up their realm in literally no time.
I envy the fairies. They don't have to worry about what they're wearing.
But you do, so do you see anything you like?
I'm perfectly happy with the old clothes you gave me.
You can keep them for all I care. I haven't worn them since my early days as a vampire, but wouldn't you rather have something you picked yourself?
Actually, I'd rather have warm weather again. But before summer comes back, I'll get big and fat thanks to that unborn child growing somewhere in my body, so what's even the point of buying new outfits for me now?
I'm sure this store has maternity fashion too, if that's what you want.
How do you like this outfit? Perfect for a little stroll through the countryside in autumn, don't you think?
Too small for me, and pink is not my color anyway.
Yeah, no shit.
But this one is your size, Lev, and blue is totally your color.
Thank you for arranging this meeting with Jane. It meant a lot to me.
You didn't find what you were looking for though.
No, but that's not your fault, or hers. Maybe some mysteries aren't meant to be solved.
You could still ask your parents. They ought to remember the other child they had at some point.
I'd rather be swallowed by a whale than go back to that farm. Too many bad memories.
I don't know if you realize this, but that's exactly what happened to the prophet Jonah in the Bible. For refusing to do God's bidding in Nineveh, he was swallowed alive by a big fish. Only by praying to God and accepting the mission he had been entrusted with, he was able to regain his freedom after 3 days and 3 nights in the darkness of the fish's belly.
Because God ordered the fish to spit him out. I think I've heard that story before. What's your point?
Sometimes we have to do things we don't like to avoid even worse predicaments. Your Nineveh is your parents' farm. You can either go there and talk to them, or stay in the dark about your sister's fate. But you've been living in that darkness for 3 decades, rather than just 3 days, and it hasn't done you any favors, has it?
Does the story of Jonah have a happy ending?
No one knows for sure. It's rather open-ended. But that's not always a bad thing if you ask me. Anyway, I should go now. Good luck with your parents, or whatever you're planning to do.
Sir, you should go too. We're about to close.
Look at that bitch. Isn't it magnificent?
It's a popcorn machine. It makes popcorn. Not exactly mankind's newest invention, but a tried and trusted way to scare the shit out of unwitting cats. Wait, is this your way of telling me I'm getting a cat sibling?
Do you think my children will like it?
They're not cats, so yes, probably. I just can't believe you spent most of the day mischiefing, took quite a beating from the look of things, and this is all you brought home. But whatever makes you happy, I guess. Now about that new feline familiar.
What was that?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, someone came by while you were out. I figured you wouldn't mind having a relative over that you don't even realize you're related to, so I let him in.
Don't shoot.
Amara? What are you up to?
Sorry, I never intended to break your bathroom sink. It kind of just happened. I don't even know how.
What?
Don't worry, I'll fix it. I could do something about your face too, ya?
Thanks, but I wear my battle scars with pride. I haven't seen you in a while, Reverse Smurf. Was wondering if the fairies had captured you again.
No, but they are precisely the reason we're here. Do you have some leftover fairy dust I could borrow? I figured you would, because it's one of the ingredients of the Guardian charm you've been using quite a lot lately.
What do you need it for?
To study if there's really a connection between fairies and that so-called fairy dust, or if it's just an arbitrary term. Amara and I are working on a book about the Sylvan realm and its inhabitants, to introduce our fellow witches to their own history.
I doubt the Sageless Age will approve of that.
That's his problem, not mine.
You're actively opposing the leader of the magic community? Wow! That's my
Grandson?
whatever. I'm so proud of you. Quite the step up from the submissive bumsucker you were when we first met. You've earned yourself a bag of popcorn.
No thanks.
You, Amara? You look like someone who grew up watching Disney movies with popcorn and Coke.
There was no such thing as Disney movies when I was a child, and my father believed Coke to be some kind of headache medicine.
Right. Your innocent 10-year-old Girl Scout face keeps making me forget that you're really older than God. Just out of curiosity, if you had an affair with an older teenager, and Romp found out about it, who would get into trouble, you or him?
Why would I want to start an affair with a teenager?
You would not. And we should probably go. Thanks for the fairy dust, ya, and enjoy your popcorn.
What? That was a legitimate question.
Hi, Mum. What happened to your face?
Oh, nothing important. I decided to expand my hunting grounds a bit and explore a new area. There I was attacked by an entity from the deepest pits of hell, but I managed to fight it off. What about you? Did Grande's meeting with Jane Doe go well?
Not really, but if you think convincing a complete stranger that she's your amnesiac long-lost sister is challenging, try shopping for clothes with Lev.
Don't make such a fuss about it. We did find something in the end.
Yeah, for me too.
Cool, but the fashion show will have to wait until tomorrow. For now, put on something comfy and help me pick a DVD for a movie night, because we have a popcorn machine now. How do you like your popcorn? Buttered, with cheddar, or caramel?
How about blood?
Iron rich, huh? I'll see what I can do.
Perhaps Evelyn Bell is right. Perhaps I'm indeed trapped. Not inside a whale, like Jonah, but in a cage created by my own stubbornness. Do I stay in there? Or do I bite the bullet and go to Henford?
I can't tell you what to do. You're the older brother. It's up to you.
But you must have an opinion.
Not necessarily. But I do have a question. Mum and Dad lied to you before. What makes you think they'll tell you the truth now?
I'm an adult now. They better start treating me accordingly, because they're the ones trying to keep in touch with me, their only child, as they put it, and I can make that happen. But they better give me what I want, too, or else they're going to lose their only child.
Emotional blackmail. That's your plan?
Does it make me a bad person to blackmail the people who gaslighted me my entire life?
Maybe not, but it doesn't make you a better person either. When I died, they started denying my very existence. They might do the same thing to you if they lose you too.
But what's the alternative? Staying in the fish's belly forever? I don't want that.
It may not be the only alternative. The answers you're looking for might be closer than you realize, just waiting to be found. You used to be a secret agent, Corwin. You were trained to connect the dots. Why can't you do it when it's your own dots that you're looking at?
What dots?
Maybe I never existed at all. Or at least not in the way you remember me.
What's that supposed to mean? Leviathan said something similar before he searched the Bramblewood Lake for the monster that drowned you, but
he never found anything. And that's not even the only thing that doesn't add up. Think about it. You and I are supposed to be siblings, but we don't really look alike. We don't even speak with the same accent. And my name breaks the family tradition of naming children after shades of red. You know all that, but you choose to ignore it.
why are you bringing this up now?
Ask yourself that question. After all, I'm nothing but a figment of your imagination.
Audrey, wait. Don't leave me again. This needs to stop.
Good morning, Amara.
I wasn't expecting you this early, Loki. And you let yourself in, again. You promised me you'd knock in the future.
In the future I will. But yesterday, well, I never actually left.
You didn't watch me sleep though, did you?
Is my name Edward Cullen?
No, but you kind of look like him with that hairstyle.
Touché. I'm surprised you even got the reference.
Hey. I may be old, but I haven't been living my entire long life under a rock. Did you pull an all-nighter again? You're crazy.
No, but I'm part vampire. I need to sleep occasionally, but not as much as everyone else.
I'm not using the stove this time, I promise. So what have you been doing all night?
I read some of the books we borrowed from the Magic Realms library. Your grandson was wrong about not having any literature on fairies.
Ouch! Dan Talion wouldn't lie about something like that.
Oh, he didn't lie. He simply didn't know. When I learned that those skeletal ghost dogs we refer to as hellhounds are the fairies' equivalent of our familiars, it got me thinking, what if witches knew about fairies all along, but called them by another name? And guess what? They did. They used to call them demons, and there's an entire book about those.
What does it say?
Many of the same things that the Christian Bible says about demons and the devil, the root of all evil. But keep in mind that demons are technically corrupted angels which, in their uncorrupted state, are usually depicted as good, pure and helpful. With their power to either bless or curse people, it's easy to understand how fairies can be seen as either angels or demons, depending on who you ask.
Fascinating how the same source material can spawn so many different religions and mythologies. We should definitely mention this in our own book. Did you learn anything about the fairy dust as well?
I have a theory. Well, more than a theory. I'm actually pretty sure. But it's a little gross, so it can wait until after breakfast.
Thank you all for accompanying me on this trip. My mother may not like having so many visitors at once, but if she tells me what I want to know right away, she won't have to put up with us for long.
How much further is it?
All the way up.
Your parents live in that lonely house up on the hill? Really?
Unless they moved again since my last visit, yes. But my mother would have mentioned that in her emails. Why are you asking?
No reason, I'm just curious.
Sorry we have to walk all the way. Motor vehicles are not unheard of, but frowned upon in the Bramblewood. There's a reason you don't see many drivable roads around here.
I'm used to it. Reminds me of Sulani.
We're used to it too. Mum is the only one in the family who owned a car at some point.
I still own it, but haven't used it ever since I bought my first flying broom. They're much cheaper and don't require licenses.
I considered getting a driver's license during the time of my life when I was neither a witch nor a vampire, but then I moved to Brightchester and it just wasn't necessary.
I bet you wouldn't believe me if I told you that I know how to drive. That's why I'm not telling you. And because I can't speak.
This is it, my parents' farm. A little smaller than the one I grew up on, but it suits their needs nowadays.
Do they know we're coming?
I talked to my mother on the phone earlier this morning, so yes. Well, she knows that I am coming, not that you and others are accompanying me.
Then maybe you should call her again and tell her you brought company, just in case of any safety precautions she might have taken to protect her farm against intruders.
Mum, you're acting weird. What's wrong?
Nothing. Why would anything be wrong?
Are you sure? Because it sounds like you're not so keen on entering that house.
It's not the house I'm worried about. Alright. Remember the entity from hell that I told you about, the one that attacked me? Well,
that happened here. You tried to break into Grande's parents' house.
Wait. What?
I didn't even know it was his parents' house. And I didn't just try to break in, I actually succeeded. But when I was about to leave, that vicious monster assaulted me out of nowhere. I barely made it out in one piece with my new popcorn machine. What the hell was that thing?
Vermilion.
Sounds familiar. Didn't your parents have a chicken with that name?
No way. Please don't tell me it was a chicken that did this to you, Mum.
A chicken from the deepest pits of hell.
Okay, better hope that never makes headlines in the criminal underworld, or else your reputation will be ruined forever.
You wouldn't be laughing like that if you knew Vermilion.
Exactly.
Her fellow crime bosses won't know or care about that either. All they'll hear is that the infamous mischief got her ass handed to her by a fucking chicken, and that's fucking hilarious.
There. It's over there.
Looks shady as hell, I'll give you that. What exactly is it?
I'm no expert, but I'd say it's a familiar of sorts.
No sudden movements. It doesn't know you, but as long as you don't give it a reason to feel threatened, you'll be safe. For the most part.
What do you mean, for the most part?
Corwin?
Long time no see. Guys, this is Scarlet Grande, the owner of this farm, and my mother.
So you're saying that fairy dust is the literal dust their ghostly bodies turn to when they die? How exactly did you find out? Did you kill a fairy to see what happens?
Not intentionally, but in a way, yes. Are you familiar with the concept of Azrael's dolls?
Only with Azrael, who is said to be the angel of death in some mythologies.
Well, his dolls are a means to defeat death, and one of the ingredients is the body of a fairy. About 3 months ago, Tiamo bound himself to one such doll because he was afflicted with a magical disease. The only way to get rid of it was for him to die and come back to life.
So that's what the fairy possessing Wilbica meant when it said a fairy had to die so Tiamo could break a curse.
The doll was destroyed when it revived him, but I picked up its remains for later analysis, compared it to the fairy dust I borrowed from Aya, and it appears to be the same substance indeed.
But then how come the witches have so much of it? They couldn't have been killing fairies for the past 3 centuries just to replenish their supplies. There aren't enough fairies left for that to work, and surely they would have retaliated at some point. Unless most of the current supply is still leftovers from the big war back then.
Possibly, but that's not even the only way of obtaining fairy dust in theory, at least if we're still equating fairies with biblical demons. Those are said to leave behind a sulfuric substance wherever they go. After everything we've learned, that substance might very well be fairy dust instead.
Which would make it much easier to harvest.
And its mere occurrence could hint at the presence of a fairy as well, be it in its true form, or that of a possessed human. But that really is just a theory we have yet to prove before we can write about it.
If I had known you'd bring so many friends, I would have served popcorn. Or maybe not. My popcorn machine has mysteriously disappeared.
Makes you wonder what happened to it. Or rather, who.
It's okay. We won't stay long.
But we haven't seen each other in a long time, so why the hurry?
You know why. I'm only here for one reason. I'm an adult now, Mom, so stop lying to me for the first time in my life and tell me the truth about Audrey.
Do you think this is Grande's old room, with the teddy bear and everything?
It certainly doesn't look like his parents sleep here. But does anything regarding Grande still surprise you?
Not really. But now that you mention it, let's take a look at the parents' room too.
Yup, that ought to be the master bedroom. But I'm not sure the lady of the house wants us to snoop around like this.
Then she should have locked the doors. Wait. I think I've seen that before.
Azrael's doll, yeah. Looks like the one I was bound to, just a different color. What do you think the colors signify?
Age, gender, position in the fairy hierarchy, if they even have anything like that, or just ethnicity. Who knows? I'm more curious about why this couple has a dollified fairy hanging around in their bedroom.
Oh, hello.
How many more times do you need to hear this? You were an only child. Always.
But what about Audrey? Are you seriously going to keep pretending that she never existed?
There was a girl that you used to hang out with as a child, the daughter of one of our neighbors. I forgot their name.
The Stevensons, by any chance?
No, it was shorter than that.
Scott?
That could have been it.
But that means it might have been Evelyn's friend Jane after all.
I don't know who you're referring to, but no, probably not. That girl was not your sister, Corwin. She wasn't even herself.
Sounds complicated.
It is complicated. Very much so. That's the reason I never bothered to explain it. It seemed easier to just write her off as an imaginary friend.
Easier for you perhaps, but did you ever stop to reflect on what that could do to your son? You made him think he was going insane.
If you're such an expert on parenting, Mrs. Mammini, then you tell me how to best explain to your traumatized 10-year-old son that his favorite playmate is not only gone, but was a fake all along, a shady creature that shouldn't even exist.
What?
The Scott's daughter was not chronically ill, as they believed. She was possessed. Some kind of nature spirit regularly took control of her body and came to play with you. I bet the real Jane had no idea what was going on. Neither did her parents, both devout Christians, but they came to the conclusion that there must be something wrong with this place, so they moved away shortly before the girl turned 10.
But that night at the Bramblewood Lake, I saw her drown.
Whatever happened there, I can only imagine that the spirit faked its death because it knew it wouldn't be able to use that girl's body again after that day. Either way, Audrey wasn't real Corwin. I'm sorry, but that is the truth.